morning, entrepreneurs. Now it become already November and it's getting chilly. That means the winter is coming. So that means also that tax return season is coming too. So today's lecture is about income tax return for the salaried employees who need to file the tax returns. The first one is the filing deadline for individual income tax return is March 15th. There is no exception. But not everyone need to file the individual income tax return. So if you are receiving a salary in Japan, you will notice that there is a withholding tax withholded from your salaries. And what company do is withhold the income tax from your salaries, and at the year end they calculate the appropriate amount of your income taxes and make adjustment that's called the year end tax adjustment, 年末調整 in Japanese. So in that case you do not have to file the tax return because the company do it instead of you. But there are the person who has the obligation to file the tax returns. The first case is if your annual salary is exceeding 20 million Japanese yen, you have to file the tax returns. The company will not do it. And the second case is if you are receiving the salary from more than 2 places, because year-end tax adjustment will be done by only one, the places, one main places. The third one is if you are, making the income other than your main salaries, and the amount is if the amount exceeds 200,000 yen or more. Annually, you have to file the tax return. For example, you sold your personal goods on the internet and make the profit, not the sales, the profit, more than 200,000 Japanese yen. You have to file the tax returns. And the other case is if you have a real estate and making the income from the real estate rent, you have to file the tax return. And the other case, if you have the other business and you're making the money, you have to file the tax return. Those are people who have an obligation to file the tax returns. The next case is who had better file the tax return. So those people do not have the obligation to file the tax return, but if those people file the tax return, they may can get tax refund or reduce the tax. The first case is if your annual medical expenses is more than 100,000 Japanese yen, you will get medical expense deductions. So in most of the case, you want your medical expense doesn't exceed maybe 100,000 Japanese yen, but well, in my case, I had a baby this year, so I spent a lot of the medical expenses for my wife, and it's exceeding more than 100,000 Japanese yen. So I will be able to get a medical expense deduction for 2016, and you can get a medical expense deduction for your family too. And the second case is usually the life insurance expense and earthquake insurance expense, you can get the deductions from your incomes through the year-end tax adjustment by your companies. But if you forget it, usually at maybe November, the company asks you to submit this payment slip of the life insurance to the companies, and if you submit to the companies, they will do the year-end adjustment, but sometimes I forget. So in that case, you have to file the tax returns to get expenses deduction for your life insurance and earthquake insurance. And the third one is if you made donations, you have to that can reduce your incomes. So you had better file the tax returns. And the fourth case, when you purchase the home by mortgage, you can get the tax credit for your mortgage. This is very strong tool because you can get 1% of the loan balance as your tax credit. So if you purchased your home for like 40 million Japanese yen, your tax credit will be like 400,000 Japanese yen. So I bought my home last year's and I could get a tax refund for that. So don't forget it. And you can get a tax credit for the 10 years. And the fifth case is when you have the foreign sourced incomes. You had better file the tax returns. I will explain the reason at the next slide. The foreign tax credit. To explain that, I want to mention about the Japanese taxation systems. Japan taxation system is worldwide income taxation for Japanese resident. So that means that if you are a Japanese resident, if you visit the other country and make money, you have to report it to Japan. So all income you earn in the other country or in Japan will be taxed in Japan. So that's called worldwide income taxation. And definition of the resident is like you have the address in Japan, like living place in Japan, or if you are from the other countries, but for example, your assignment period is stated as more than 1 year. In your assignment letters, you are regarded as a resident at the date you arrive to the Japan. So you have to report the all income earned all over the world. So what happened is, the income you earned in overseas is taxed in there. So if you make income in the United States, you must have been paid the taxes in the United States, and then you go back to Japan and you're taxed for all incomes in overseas too in Japan. So there is a double taxation issues. So to get rid of the double taxation, there is systems for like foreign tax credit. If you pay the tax in overseas, you don't have to pay you get tax credit for that amount in Japanese tax returns. But to get a foreign tax credit, you have to file tax returns, and calculation process is very complicated for the foreign tax credit. So at the end, filing deadline is March 15th. So now it's time to talk with the tax accountant. See you next time. I'm giving you the useful information about the business in Japan. If you don't want to miss it, please subscribe to this channel. See you next time.